Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Virtual Trades Expo. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to share with you more on the Doncridge Skilled Trades Accelerator program at Fanshawe. We have a wonderful facilitator set to speak with us and share more about this career pathway. Before we do that, I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about JA. I'm here representing JA Canada. My name is Jennifer James, and I work as the VP of Programs and Charter Services. You may have heard of us through one of our amazing 14 teams or local offices across the network. You'll see them on the map there where we have local offices. Just a few fun facts. We've delivered over 445,000 student learning experiences over the past year. We focus on career readiness, on financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. And so we're hoping that you'll learn a little bit more about careers today by participating in this webinar and others in our expo. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing to support your journey in education, career, and empowerment. There's a few different ways that you can learn through JA. Perhaps you have heard about our JA campus. It is our learning platform where you can learn from the comfort of your home. You get to choose between some short, interactive, engaging modules, or you can continue classroom learning and do more structured programming through our campus as well. We also have a lot of our volunteers and teachers who facilitate programs in class, so you can have experiential learning on concepts around financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship. And we also have lots of hands-on events. So perhaps you've been involved in one of our events. We do have World of Choices and Skilled Trades Summits, where you get to learn about different career pathways and explore different opportunities in trades and all sorts of other sectors. So maybe that's what led you to our expo today. We are certainly grateful for the support of RBC, who's made our World of Choices and Skilled Trades Summits possible. And they are very passionate about youth education and youth finding careers that are meaningful and that will provide you with a long career pathway. So today what you're going to learn about are some other skilled trades. And we know that there is a huge demand, a growing demand of 256,000 new skilled trades apprentices that are needed over the next 5 years in Canada. So the question is to you, are you ready for the journey ahead? We're here to support you, and this is one of the ways that we hope you can get started. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Josh Westgate from Fanshawe College. Josh brings over 17 years of experience in post-secondary education, specializing in skilled trades and apprenticeship. As a leader of the Doncridge Skilled Trades Accelerator at Fanshawe College, Josh plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of skilled trades by connecting prospective students, current learners, and industry stakeholders. The Accelerator serves as a dynamic hub for experiential learning, educator engagement, and employer collaboration. Sounds like JA. Creating meaningful pathways into rewarding careers through education, innovation, and advocacy. The Accelerator is dedicated to increasing awareness, accessibility, and appreciation for the skilled trades, empowering the next generation of professionals. And so we are so grateful to have you here today, Josh. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Jen. Really appreciate it. And I feel like that bio was a little bit formalized. So I'm just going to share my screen here. So I'm going to replace current share, and I'm going to go from here. So you guys can see that all okay. I'm sure I'll know if you don't see
Yes,
it. Okay.
this
Okay.
is good.
Thank you. And now here. Thanks for having me, Jen. And it's it's I'm very excited to have the opportunity to chat a little bit about apprenticeship. Now, hopefully today that you got to hear all kinds of different pathways, different types of trades from those that are working in the profession, and the experiences that they have. From my perspective, being a educational institution and what we call a training delivery agent, I'm going to chat a little bit more about how do you get there, and what can we do to support you from a learning perspective, educational perspective, whether it's traditional certificate diploma programming or specifically the apprenticeship pathway and the classroom training and how we marry all of this together. I am a fairly informal presenter, so the biggest thing about today is about getting your questions out there and understanding what this looks like and how can I start. So maybe earlier today you heard a little bit about being an electrician. Okay, that's fantastic, but how do I do that? And that's kind of the role of the Don Craig Skilled Trades Accelerator to kind of help with that. So please ask lots of questions. I just don't want to talk at you the whole day, and you'll learn a lot. And I'm sure if you have a question, someone else will, and that's how we help with our learning. So let's get started. My name is Josh Westgate, and feel free if you're in confines of your computer here to learn a little bit more, you can take a photo of this slide here. I'm an academic services consultant with the Apprenticeship and Skilled Trades Accelerator. That's actually my cell phone number and my email. I get lots of students who are texting me, whatever your preferred method of communication is. And trust me, as you go down this journey and pathway, you may have some questions. And trust me, I get texts at 10 p.m. at night. Hey, Josh, I really want to be a sheet metal worker. How do I do that? What's my first step? I work very, very closely with Skilled Trades Ontario and the Ministry of Labor, Immigration Training and Skills Development on our apprenticeship programming, and I'd be happy to have these conversations with you. The biggest message that I want you to have today too is that you're not on this journey alone. There's lots of resources and people to help with you, as this pathway can be pretty confusing and convoluted. Apprenticeship, there's lots of different options. So let us help you. Please reach out anytime. And now I'm going to send a little plug here for Fanshawe in terms of a video. Oh, not yet. See, this is where I can't see the next slides. I might as well talk about the four pillars of the Don Craig Skilled Trades Accelerator. As Jen mentioned in my bio, we do different types of things. We're the centralized planning for apprenticeship at Fanshawe College. So out of 144 skilled trades apprenticeship programs in Ontario, Fanshawe offers 22. We're one of the largest training delivery agents in the province. So everything from all four sectors, but from electrician, plumber, sheet metal, carpentry to the service sector, child developmental practitioner, child development practitioner, developmental service worker, hairstylist. All of these things are run through our accelerator. We work closely with the academic schools as well as our external stakeholders. So it's really about helping prospective skilled trades persons, apprentices, our current students who are in these fields, and also our external stakeholders like employers and helping them through the process as well. We do a ton of outreach, lots of students on campus because a big part of it is about exposing the trades. More opportunities, even in the grade 7, 8, 9, 10 areas to promote these pathways. They're phenomenal, viable careers, getting paid lots of money, you know that, but also having really fulfilling work. And the biggest conversations I have with students that they like about the apprenticeship is that there's usually a tangible outcome to it, that they can see their work. It's extremely fulfilling work. We do tons of events and activities and work very closely with our internal collaborators. So here's a little bit about Fanshawe. As we go through this presentation, yes, a lot of this is about skilled trades, and that's the primary focus on these pathways. But we do have tons of different programs, and some people, I think, they know the traditional trades. When you get these focus groups together and you're with a conference and all these people in outreach, and you're saying, okay, can you name how many apprenticeship programs can you name? Yeah, we can get to 10 to 15 pretty straightforward, the ones we know, but sometimes we forget there's 144 and there's a whole service sector and hairstylist, as I mentioned, like horticulture. There's all kinds of different pathways to get you to your ultimate goal, which is really about having that dream job and doing what you're passionate about. So here's a little bit about kind of different types of programs. And I think it's important to chat a little bit about certificates and diplomas. I work in the apprenticeship department. That's kind of my portfolio. A lot of times that first step, which will go into these images about finding the employer and the sponsor, perhaps you as a student, if you're in high school, you have an opportunity to do the OEAP, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, but finding that sponsor, we hear the labor market shortages, there's such demand for skilled trades. And sometimes you hear that, but it can be challenging finding that sponsor because it's really going out and finding a job. So we do have academic programming to help hone your skills, to create more opportunities that looks good on a resume. So when you go knock on a door to try to get a sponsor for that apprenticeship, you can rely on some post-secondary education as well. And we'll chat a little bit more about that. So this is the whole concept today is the trades and apprenticeship. Skills Ontario, we have tons of competitors. I've already mentioned the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. But these are really big, huge, rewarding careers that could create unbelievable pathways for students. And we'll talk about the features, advantages, and benefits of those in a bit. This is kind of our generic apprenticeship path. And we make this a bit of a winding road because it can be confusing, right? It's not that traditional format where I get a lot of questions. Okay, I'm really interested in being an automotive service technician. How do I apply to it? And we'll see at the start here that there's the 4 different sectors, 144 different apprenticeship programs in Ontario, but that first step is finding the sponsor and employer. And although the Don's Skilled Trades Accelerator, our mandate's not necessarily to match prospective apprentices with employers, we do want to provide resources to help you along the way. We've partnered with our Community Employment Services Center here in London, Ontario. That's where our main campus is based in London, Ontario, for job search sites, resume writing, cover letter writing, mock interviews, all of these things that are available for students to help. There's also apprenticesearch.com. There's Trades for Tomorrow. We're kind of this centralized hub where we meet with prospective apprentices all the time to try to help find that sponsor employer. So once you find the sponsor and employer, you have what's called a registered training agreement. When that is signed, that is your seniority date. Typically, you're working with your employer for at least a year before that's your on job the training, and we have one little money sign there. That's your entry point. It depends on the wait list and the ministry wait list, but then you do your level 1 schooling basic, and you follow through this kind of road with a combination of practical training and classroom training to ultimately get to your certificate of apprenticeship, your certificate of qualification exam, and then as a licensed journey person. So they say about 85–90% of this journey is on the job practical training. 10 to 15% is the classroom training. Now, what's neat about that is the on the job practical training, you're getting paid for that. And the classroom training is a very attractive way to do schooling. It's not that typical tuition cost that you might have heard of. For college, it's about $4,200 a year just in tuition costs. University, much more expensive. On average, our apprenticeship 8-week block release is about $750. So it's a great return on investment. Another role of mine within the Don Crate Skilled Trades Accelerator is going and chatting with all of our apprentices in a little orientation session for each individual level. And we go over grants and financial aid and how much resources are available to them to make this transition that much easier. Because you're thinking about it, you're working full time with your sponsor, your employer, you're leaving that kind of money, but we talk about all these grants and incentives that are available to help kind of curb that. It's a really, really great way to do your training and a great return on investment. So I just passed myself a little bit. So talking a little bit about our traditional certificate programs. So Fanshawe College, we have different credentials. We call 1-year programs certificates, 2-year programs diplomas, and 3-year programs advanced diplomas. So in a 1-year techniques program, these are really supposed to be a quick, fast way to hone your skills. So for instance, let's say I'll go back to my electrical example. If you want to be an electrician, but you're having a really hard time finding that sponsor because they may ask you, so what experience do you have? What value can you bring to me as an employer? And let's be honest, sometimes you might not have courses in high school that's related to that. You might not have had the opportunity to do the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So you might want to hone your skills. Well, we have a 1-year electrical techniques program. And the point of that program is really to get you immersed in electrical work. So when you go and knock on the door afterwards, you have that on a resume, you have a 1-year Ontario College certificate, and it creates lots of opportunities. So these are just a few examples here of our 1-year techniques programs. We do call them pre-apprenticeship, or I like to call them preparatory programs, because there is a whole other system out there that is pre-apprenticeship where you get your level 1. But these are preparatory programs to help get you to the apprenticeship pathway. Do you have to do these? No. If you can find your sponsor right off the bat, you don't have to do any of these techniques programs, but they can give you that student life experience and really honing your skills. So auto body repair techniques, carpentry and renovation techniques, culinary skills techniques, electrical techniques, different mechanical type programs like millwright, tool and die, CNC machining for your 429 general machinist, plumbing techniques, and welding techniques. Some of these programs too, we call them attestations. So if you take these programs, you actually will get credit for your classroom training once you get into the apprenticeship program. So this is a quick chart of the programs we offer that we have equivalencies or where you'll be exempt from the classroom training. And the nice part about that is then you can focus just more on your practical training with your employer. So one that's really prominent if we look at is our motive power technician. It's a very popular one. You might have heard of 310S, which is an automotive service technician, or 310T, which is a truck and coach technician. Our diploma programs, and I'll get to the diploma section slide next. We have diploma programs at all 3 levels of your classroom training of your apprenticeship are embedded in that diploma. So again, you can find your sponsor, you can go straight apprenticeship. If you're having a hard time, well, you can come do traditional education in terms of an Ontario College diploma for motive power technician auto, and you've got all the classroom training done. It's great for an employer to hire you because they're not going to lose you for those 8-week block releases. And you also then just have to focus on your 6,500 hours of practical training. So this list here gives a bit of a rundown of the equivalencies. Now, not all of our certificates have equivalencies. We're working on that. So for instance, you don't see electrical techniques here getting your level 1. You don't see plumbing techniques here getting your level 1 for the 306A plumber. We're working on that, but still those techniques programs are really great, honing your skills, helping you get that employment opportunities. So some 2-year diplomas, and you'll see some here that they all line towards skilled trades and apprenticeship, but not all apprenticeships are a red seal where you have to be a licensed journey person to do it. So carpentry is a great example. I do promote a lot of the 403A general carpenter pathway, but a lot of our students will come do a carpentry renovation technician. If if your dream is to be a contractor, this is going to provide you skills within that area. They go over flooring, casing, framing, windows, roofing, all of the different skill sets. And then you can hire out your plumbers and your electrician for those licensed uh, apprenticeships if you want to open up kind of a contracting business. So there's lots of different things that we're kind of trying to provide the student as much as possible in terms of pathways. That's fantastic. But I also, from a student standpoint, it can get a pretty overwhelming in all the different options and pathways they have. But let us as colleges in different pathways, those opportunities to kind of navigate that for you. Don't feel like you have to do this on your own. And I talk to apprentices all the time, or prospective apprentices or skilled tradespeople, that they're not totally sure. They know electrician, but they might not know a glazer who does glass or anything like that. We can chat about those opportunities. So lots of different options here in the 2-year diploma area. And then finally, kind of the 3-year advanced diploma too, that we even throw architectural technology in here. It's not an apprenticeship program. Some would say might not even fit that skilled trades traditional definition, but it is a skill, right? Civil engineering, bridges, roads. But once you get into the engineering standpoint, it's a little bit more of the design. And then the more education in terms of the 3-year advanced diploma, a little bit more prerequisites, lots of math, but we can chat about those kind of different pathways as well.
My name is
Oh, sorry. And I'm going to show you a bit of a video here too.
my name is Jen Cowdrey. I grew up on the farm, and I also took all the automotive and shop classes that I could in high school. I loved taking things apart, working with my hands, learning how vehicles and tractors work. So then in high school, I took all the automotive classes I could. I received the Automotive Scholarship Award where I came to Fanshawe College. And I excelled in my program here at Fanshawe College for Motive Power Technician in the automotive sector. And I just loved the trades and I wanted to keep pursuing it. I then worked at a dealership in St. Mary's in the shop pulling wrenches. Came right back to Fanshawe for Mechanical Engineering Technician. And I did my one-year co-op. I did it at General Motors CAMI Assembly in Ingersoll. And before I was even graduated from Fanshawe, I had a full-time position at General Motors CAMI. So I've been at CAMI now for over 11 years and loving every year of it.
But what I like about that video about Jen is everyone's pathway is different. We're trying to get you as much information as possible to have these decisions early on in life, but it happens. You might do one area, and Jen's story is that she did 2 different programs, but it still led her to CAMI, which is ultimately an automotive industry, very, very successful career in the management field there, starting from kind of that right at the entry level and growing in opportunities. So I think that's one thing that I like to promote within the skilled trades. There is tons of advancement and opportunities for promotion and also making more money. And it's not all about money, but it is important. And these are extremely, extremely rewarding careers. So we talk a little bit about pathways here too. And that's kind of a nice segue from what I was just chatting about is everybody's pathway is different. So this slide here just illustrates kind of the diploma pathway that I've chatted with lots of people in the last couple of weeks because I'm doing a phone campaign for 310S and 310T, trucking coach and automotive service technician, that we do have pathways within our diploma. So this way here, you could actually do 2 2-year diplomas in 3 years, and you have all of your classroom training completed for both 310S automotive service technician and 310 trucking coach technician. And we're seeing that kind of field too, that the double journey person license is attractive to some apprentices. Carpentry is still the same thing. You can go 1-year certificate, 2-year diploma, 3-year advanced diploma. You could go straight to apprenticeship with 403A general carpenter. Perhaps you take the techniques and go straight to apprenticeship. You could do the diploma and go straight to apprenticeship. This is where it can get overwhelming, kind of trying to understand all these different pathways, but there's so much there for you where you can kind of tailor and customize the right pathway for you. If you feel like you can go straight, get that job, go to apprenticeship, that's awesome. If you feel like some more traditional formalized college education, that student life experience will help you grow and mature and develop, we've got that too. So there's lots of opportunities there for you. We'll go through these a little bit. There's building, there's manufacturing. We offer these in all kinds of different things. If you do decide to take more traditional education, a lot of our programs have co-ops as well. So Motive Power Automotive is a perfect example. It's got a co-op component to it. So that can also help with your hours and build those relationships to try to help and get your sponsor afterwards if you're going to that apprenticeship pathway. So we really, I think you probably heard all day today that super hands-on experience, even if you come into a college sector, it's not your stereotypical classroom that you might have saw in elementary school or high school where there's desks. You're doing the work. We have huge carpentry construction labs, plumbing labs, electrical labs, motive power labs, sheet metal labs, welding labs that are very, very, very hands-on. The more practice you have, the better off you'll be. Oh, another video here I'm going to show you too.
There's a lot of history to this car in this area. First one's rolled off of the St. Thomas line.
The vehicle's the same age as the college is. The mascot of the college is built locally.
We picked this car up. We got an Arizona car, which was the body was just beautiful, flawless.
It's a good foundation. The car was solid. This will be a great build. We had done a bunch of metal work and fabrication work to restore any holes or any of the structure of the body that needed to be remade.
We went ahead and bought a crate engine, a 302 Boss engine.
All new fuel injection components, computerized control, Mustang 2 front suspension, 4-link suspension in the rear. The transmission was rebuilt here in-house.
It's not just nuts and bolts, it's thinking, it's basically engineering.
It's a high-level skill set, and it takes a ton of dedication and a ton of time.
There was hours and hours and hours of sanding. They're sanding the epoxy primer, they're sanding Bondo, grinding metal, sanding primer, they're sanding it for prep, priming it again, sanding it again, dust everywhere. And you gotta get it ready and you gotta get it right.
I work at a Honda dealership, so working on something like an old muscle car like the Falcon was a unique opportunity for me.
I don't get to do that very much at work, and I don't really have the finances to do it on my own, so this is a really fun project to do.
But it is the one reason why I joined this trade, right, is to work on, modifying vehicles and all that stuff. So it's something I really enjoy doing.
We've got lots of challenges.
But at the end of the day, everyone kind of has to come down and do just one procedure.
We're under the wire, we're on a deadline, we need to get it done.
We're here till 5 in the morning one night.
I think the paint probably is the most sensitive portion of it. 1,000 things can go wrong in the paint booth.
It's not my first time painting something. Close to the panel, move as fast as you can. It was shiny, it looked good, no runs, little one, but let's not talk about that.
It was a ton of work.
They did a phenomenal job.
It's going to show what we can do.
Let's get her fired up and ready to rock.
So that's a great segue too, kind of to what we were chatting about. That's their classroom. So it's very hands-on. It's you're doing what you learn. There's pathways to apprenticeship, careers, and that's the nice thing about you're embedded in kind of this lab that mimics a job, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prepare you for industry, and we're going to treat you kind of like this is a job. Our apprenticeship block releases, some they start 7 a.m. and go till 3 p.m. It mimics just like industry, right? And it's a job. You have attendance, we keep attendance, but it's also a great learning environment too. I'm conscientious of time. I'm still going here. If there's questions that are coming, that's great. Well, feel free, please ask questions, but I can't leave you without a message of we're here for you. We want you to be successful. We have resources in place. Even if you are an apprentice student that are coming back for your classroom training, an IEP from high school, we can look at that. We can provide accommodations. We want you to be successful. We want you to do your dream job, be passionate about that dream job. So we have all the resources on campus that can help you be successful. Also financial aid. So lots of different money and things that are in place. We chatted a little bit about the apprenticeship grants, but even as those students coming in for a certificate or diploma, I understand completely. Finances can be stressful, and there's things that we can do to help you ease kind of that stress. So we've got lots of different awards, specifically in the skilled trades area as well. The Schulich Builders for high school students coming out of high school is a huge one. Think about it. If your tuition's about $4,200 a year, scholarships can be valued up to $20,000 a year. So a 2-year diploma, you can make $20,000 each year, and that's given to you. So that covers your textbooks, housing, accommodations. These are really prestigious awards, but again, we're one of the few colleges that offer the Schulich Builder Scholarship, and a great opportunity to kind of help pay for that education as you come to. There are other grants. We are trying our hardest to discuss with the women demographic, women in skilled trades. My colleague Ruth, she's the coordinator of Women in Red Seal Skilled Trades. We have initiatives and events and programming specific to the woman audience. The reality is this labor market shortage, we're not going to fill that with just 50% of our population being alienated from the skilled trades, and that's women. Right now, it's about 6% from what I understand, making up the population, and we need more. I hope in this presentation here, I can't see you guys, but hopefully there's women and girls that are really interested in these careers because they're fantastic opportunities. And another can rector. These are just 3 big ones that are specific to the skilled trades. We're getting to 2:30 here. I don't want to go too much into kind of the more of the administrative side of things. So please, if Jen, any questions are coming in, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. Just these are more administration, when to apply for college, all those opportunities that we can kind of help you as you go through that. But we want you to connect with us. I hope you took my contact information at the start of this presentation. I'm available anytime. I'm obviously passionate and an advocate of the skilled trades and apprenticeship pathways, but we want to promote this, not just because that's my portfolio, because the biggest things that we're seeing from young students is that they want a career, that pays well, they want security, um, even the flexibility of being their own boss. A lot of apprentices are entrepreneurial that open their own business, and there's fantastic careers that come out of them. So with that, I went that through that really quick, but I wanted to leave a good 10-15 minutes here um to with any questions. So Jen, how are we looking for some questions there?
Well, thank you, Josh, for that great presentation. The Q&A is open, so if anyone would like to post questions in the chat, we'll review them there. I have a couple of takeaways too while we're waiting for some questions to pop up. It was really interesting learning about apprenticeship pathways. And what I heard as a theme is the incredible support that's offered through you and the Don Critch Skilled Trades Accelerator at Fanshawe, because there can be a magnitude of opportunities and decisions to actually get into a program and decide what might be best for them. So really appreciate that. And I liked the apprenticeship path roadmap. It was a really neat way to showcase the different steps to advancing in a career in skilled trades. And again, just seeing the different opportunities for support along the way. So thank you. Please do post questions in the chat if you have questions. I'm wondering, you had shared as well, and I've heard this, that you support with education so students can get the skills they need to get a job. And that can sometimes be challenging, especially if they're maybe living in an area where there aren't a lot of opportunities for placement. But what are some of the essential skills that you teach and that you think students could start to develop now, so that as they do go into an apprenticeship program and look for employment and placement to do their hours, they have already started to develop and build now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'd probably look at this as, and maybe I'm from a high level standpoint, is the technical skills are needed, right? If you're going to go work in the skilled trades in the apprenticeship area, but that's what we want to teach you. That, right? You'll come to class, you'll work with your employer, you'll do your practical training. We will try to coach you the best we can through those technical skill sets. The other side of it is those soft skills. So where some apprentices, especially, they're young. If you're coming straight from high school, if you're in an Ontario Youth Apprenticeship program, I do presentations to our OYAP students, and in some of our OYAPs, they're actually in class with apprentices too, because at level 1, it's the same curriculum. So we get 17 or young 17-year-olds in there with perhaps a 30-year-old. These experiences are all different. And some of those 30-year-olds, they've been working with their employer for 12 months or 18 months, whereas the OYAP student, you might have had a co-op for 2, 3, 4 months. So the basic soft skills of communication is huge, showing up on time, even asking for help. I work with an audience where I have to go into all these classrooms and say, it's okay to ask for help. I think at times we're scared to ask for help, but that's why we're here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be help on the technical side of things. Yes, you need to know math, but we'll teach you that. But if there's things that are happening to improve those communication skills, because that's what's going to help and out in the job site. You're going to have interactions with colleagues, employees, certain staff, and your bosses and your managers and a site supervisor, that all of these soft skills really come into play. And I think at times they sound simple, but they're the hardest things to teach. And they're sometimes the hardest things to learn. And I'll go back as a story of it's even your personal life. I played a lot of sports growing up, and showing up to practice on time and all of those things that I've carried on that I wasn't understanding I was learning back then, but subconsciously I've taken into my career on teamwork, communication, attendance, punctuality. Like the apprenticeship, it's a job. You're sitting there and you're a job, and we're trying to mimic that the exact same when you come to your classroom training. So our expectation, 8 a.m. class, 7 a.m. class, you're there. And we take attendance. And you're adults, but it's important. We're trying to mimic that environment. So I hope that helps there, Jen.
That's great advice. And I certainly heard this in an earlier session as well, the importance of showing up on time, showing up ready. And again, some of those other skills you talk about, communication, teamwork, problem solving, all really critical and core to being able to secure that apprenticeship. And then further to that, be successful in the
The
trade.
more, sorry, Jen, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And I have conversations, I meet with apprentices all the time that are struggling finding a sponsor. So we sit down together and I say, okay, so where have you reached out? And they've reached to a few employers because rejection's not fun. And they hear a no and then they don't want to do it. I'm like, law of averages. You just need one employer to say yes. You got to get yourself out there in the different avenues. And it's hard. I don't think a 16, 17-year-old should know all these different things. Well, you can apply to the union website right on their website. You can call but those are the soft skills. And trust me, if you're working hard and you're giving it 100%, as human beings, we want to help you, right? And the same as employers that bring on apprentices. If you're giving it everything you have, respectful, communicating, you're trying, they will help you. They will coach you. That's the whole point of this apprenticeship mentorship type platform.
Super. Question further to that, can students find a sponsor anywhere in Canada to start their training hours, or is it specific to the province that they're doing their education?
They're provincially governed. However,
Okay.
the red seal, if you're in a red seal trade, red seal is meant that you can go interprovincially throughout Canada. We do have some instances, let's say you start your plumbing 306A in Ontario. They're doing more to match curriculum where then you could do your level 2 out there. It's a little tricky now. When you get your certificate of qualification as a red seal, that means you're licensed to go anywhere through Canada. If you change provinces after level 1, and we get a lot of this at Fanshawe too, we're going to just evaluate some of the curriculum that maybe we just had a BC student that did level 1 plumber. We'll chat with our coordinator and see how that works in terms of getting into level 2 here. So not a great answer. It's provincially, but it is across Canada for the red seal. But if you switch after a level 1 or a level 2, we're just going to have to work with you on kind of the curriculum there.
Great, great. Good to know. Are there provinces where there's a higher demand for certain skilled trades? So for example, based on, your experience and your wealth of knowledge on where there's a demand, do you see trends across different provinces?
Great question. The demand infrastructure wise is throughout Canada. I think there's a demand that Ontario, though, like I'm so focused in Ontario because I just went to the Skilled Trades Ontario summit yesterday, and their infrastructure, and you might hear in the news and stuff, the infrastructure goals are ginormous. Like there is huge opportunity in Ontario. I'm a little biased towards Ontario because we're large and we drive kind of a lot of the economy. Out west, though, when you can look at oil and welding, huge demand out there. But specifically, other than I would probably say welding out west, there's a big demand and shortage throughout Canada. I think some of the times I work for Fanshawe, so I'm biased towards our 22 apprenticeship programs, but I encourage students I think everybody knows an electrician and a plumber, but there's so much more out there. I talk about glazer all the time because when we look at our buildings and how they're being built, we forget everything's made of glass and there's windows and there's metal architecture and all that type of stuff where those are super, super rewarding and in demand kind of niche areas that have great opportunity. In London, Ontario, we have about 4 glass companies. They're begging for employees. And again, like I don't want to push someone towards electrical because everybody kind of knows that. I want you to have the broad enough information on all 144 trades to pick the right one for you because there's so much opportunity.
Yes, 144. So where do you start? How difficult is it if somebody starts down a pathway in one trade and then learns about another and wants to pivot and shift over to a different trade.
Some are very, like with that example I used with 310S and 310T, there's similar skill sets within that. It's within the automotive industry. You're working on diesel or truck and coach or cars. So, but again, how Ontario's defined them is they're two separate trades and two separate skill sets with training standards, logbooks, and competencies that are a bit different. So if you start, let's say, an apprenticeship in one trade, you have to evaluate, do you complete it? Or if you really want to get out of it, because there are some people who are getting multiple license, and that just makes their employability that much better. We think of electrical and millwright right now. A lot of these EV plants that are being built, the need for millwrights are very, very popular right now. And then if you're an electrician and a millwright and you have a double license, but then again, our system's not set up to easily do that. But if you can do it, the employability is great. So this is the challenge, that at young ages, that try to get you as much information as possible and knowledge about the different trades. So hopefully you don't go back unless it's about getting maybe a double license, if that makes sense.
Perfect, perfect. And I think that roadmap again that I shared that I really liked kind of shows you the direction to go, and it might not be a direct line, but the idea is to keep moving forward to get to
And
the
the,
end goal.
and the roadmap, even though it is a winding road, I still think at times we've simplified it, because we haven't even talked about all the post-secondary certificates, diplomas, that the biggest challenge we find is finding that sponsor and employer. And then there's all that education in terms of colleges or institutions that offer that you might have to go off that to maybe get some things to strengthen your resume to then find the sponsor. So that road becomes, it is a winding road.
You shared a couple of great videos. In the second video, they said there are 1,000 things that could go wrong. What are some of the day-to-day challenges? Maybe just pick a trade, because I don't know if you can generalize day-to-day challenges in a skilled trades role.
Dude, I think it's funny, and we chatted about this yesterday at the Skilled Trades Ontario Summit, that the demand for like problem solving, we forget that skilled trades is all about problem solving, right? Is that I had a plumber at my toilet broken. I work in the skilled trades area in the portfolio, and let me tell you, I'm not a licensed plumber, and I'm not, that technical skill set is very high. It's about coming in and problem solving, and that's really what the job fulfillment's all about. In that car build, you're taking a 1967 car that you really don't know what is wrong with it and totally restoring it and rebuilding it. So even though that one little run of the paint, that could go wrong. An installation could go wrong. What if your signal doesn't work because the electrical wasn't set up correctly? It's there is 1,000 things that could go wrong. But I think at the end of the day too, we have to emphasize a little bit more on the skilled trades, that the problem solving and that skill set alone is really, really valuable, and it's really fulfilling when you achieve. I talked to apprentices, like, that guy fixed my toilet in about 10 minutes. I wouldn't have even been able to know where to start. And he kind of brushed it off. And I was like, thank you. Like that, my daughter can now use her toilet. But their skill, they take for granted how skilled they are. And that problem solving, that they could look, troubleshoot, yep, it's that, boom, fixed. I went to we got a lot of credit towards the skilled trades, because it is a phenomenal skill that these journey persons have.
Wonderful, wonderful. There when we need them too, right? That's even better. So just in closing too, you had a really great female role model in the first video. And you have some very dedicated programming and support for women. You said 6% is what you're seeing now, approximately. Are you starting to see an increase? Like, is that 6% up from 5? Are we seeing more females enrolling in skilled trades programming?
STO even said yesterday, Skilled Trades Ontario said that their registered training agreements already for the first 3 months of the year of 2025 has gone up well over 10%. So we're seeing that. The stigma is getting a bit better, and we talk about it's been a male dominated field for decades and decades. Even within our programs that go to Skills Ontario, we see the success of our females. We just had a gold medal winner nationally. Auto body, we've had international skills winners. I don't know if it's the dexterity, the attention to detail, but they're great careers, and we are doing a lot of emphasis and promoting towards that audience because we don't have enough individuals filling this, and they bring great skills and perspective into the skilled trades world.
Super. Well, on that note, we will close off the webinar, and thank you so much for the very informative presentation. Thank you for answering and responding to the key questions we had here. And to those of you on the call or listening to this webinar at a later time, we wish you all the best and success. Please do reach out. As Josh said, that's how you can really be successful and get set up on the right path. So there's lots of support and help for you, lots of opportunities for funding to come alongside and make this a really rewarding pathway for you to consider. So thank you. If you are on the call and can answer a quick poll before you log off, we would appreciate it. And thank you, Josh. Wonderful presentation. All the best in your good work.
Thanks.